UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning and welcome back from the weekend. I'm hoping that you had a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Welcome back to our, brothers from the Busoga area and everyone that came from every part of the country and even the world to go and, of course, be party to the occasion where the Chabazinga of Busoga, William Gafabla Nadiope IV, was having a wedding where he took a wife. Busoga saw its first royal wedding since 1956. That was no small feat. And right now they have a new mother. They have a new queen. That is Jovia Mutesi, the Inebantu. So congratulations to our brothers and sisters, friends that come from the Busoga Kingdom. You have a queen, and me as a person that loves culture and that a person that is in love, I don't even shy away from saying that I'm in love with the Nabagereka, my queen, the wife to my king, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II. I congratulate you because I know how joyful, how interesting, how exciting this event was for you. And the queen is beautiful. She's, oh my goodness. Everything about that moment and that wedding was amazing. The glam, the dressing up, the fashion, everything was beautiful. So congratulations to the happy couple, and we hope that they live a peaceful and blissful marriage, blessed by amazing and beautiful children, because marriage is where children are supposed to be had and sired. That's what the Archbishop of Uganda said while joining them into holy matrimony. But coming back here, I hope that your weekend, away from all, the festivities that were in Ginger, I hope that your weekend was also amazing. And if you're in Kampala, I hope that you were not really encumbered by the traffic that was in the city as the president was taking a walk around, trying to see how the construction works on different roads like Nkwano Road was going. Hopefully everything went okay for you, that you did not find any hindrances here and there. But also I hope that you are excited about the new roads that we are about to have, because Nkwano Road is almost done, and of course many other roads are being worked on so that we arrest the traffic problem in the city. Well, I'm joined by Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, Chantal, Olive Akandinda, and Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning, Sonko.
Well, good morning, Monica. How are you doing? I'm
great.
All right, you really look great, by the way.
Thank you so much.
And it's high time we have to recognize it's a new week now.
Yes.
But nonetheless, you've mentioned something about the Busoga Kingdom, big signs of joy, and a big sign of clearly telling us the kingdom is there now, bigger and stronger.
Yes.
There are signs that you can look at, and you know that the trajectory of growth can ideally be identified. Now that there is a queen and the king and the king in the kingdom, that clearly shows you that the kingdom is being led into the right direction. But also, lest we forget, I should say, even the Prime Minister of Busoga should as well be highly given his flowers, if that is the right word to use.
Why?
Because of the lots of work he has actually done during this particular preparation of the wedding of the Chabazinga and his Inebantu, that is Jovia Mutesi. So when you look at what Owechitibwa, I don't know if they're called Owechitibwa Muvawala, did during the time of the wedding, and also taking us back to the time when the announcements were made. Really, he deserves his flowers. But also the people of Busoga Kingdom for being very, for having a warm reception to everybody who was coming into the kingdom on Saturday, because we saw various politicians, various leaders who went to Busoga on that particular royal wedding. And well, what a time to be alive, I should say.
I know. I've seen two amazing royal weddings in my life. The first was in 1999 when Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi was taking Nabagereka Sylvia Najenda as his wife. And of course, it was a it was a showstopper. Like everything came to a halt. There was a public holiday. And now we have seen this. And I as a mom, I like that my children got to view something as beautiful as this, because we were glued to UBC TV, watching every step of the way, and that was amazing. And even our friends in the diaspora was streaming live. And this reminds me to tell you that if you ever miss an episode of Good Morning Uganda, you can always go back to YouTube and you will catch up with everything that we have ever discussed over here ever since Good Morning Uganda started. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning, Olive. How are you doing?
I'm great.
How's your weekend?
Lovely, lovely. It was exciting.
Okay. I would like to ask about the exciting bit, but I think I should be asking off air.
No, the wedding actually excited me. I am a sucker for love.
Oh, okay. That makes two of us. So I don't know why Cherry is clearing his voice, but
no idea.
Cherry, is everything okay? Do you feel all right?
Continue.
You might be having a fever.
But I just want to know if our dearest viewer had a wonderful weekend. Mine was a bit restful, and I had just a little sprinkle of fun here and there. But it was generally a good weekend, and I am ready to attack the week. Yeah, I think the fact that I'm next to Sonko, the energy just keeps rubbing onto me. So yeah, the week is good. It's a good week.
It's already a good week on Monday
Yes.
morning. Interesting. Good morning, Chirao.
A lovely morning to you, the team, and the viewers. Now, what a weekend it was, having that royal wedding where the Chabazinga of Busoga walked down the aisle with now the Queen. By then she was Miss Jovia Mutesi.
And now she's the Inevant.
Now, I saw a cake as tall as me. But most important to me, I just want to congratulate all our security forces and agencies. We had a travel advisory, how we weren't that safe. Police and other security agencies managed to pull off nyege nyege amid it so much said. Now, when I heard that after church, the couple was going to have a procession in Jinja City, I was like, oh Lord, help us. But was put off very well. And I think of all people that we should give flowers, I don't know if we should give to the IGP and sister somehow.
All of them.
For me, I want to commend police first and all security agencies. You know, when our former colonial masters issue these things, they have so many implications.
Yeah.
But if we manage to prove them wrong, glory be to God for the hard work that was put in, and of course his hand. Now in Africa, we believe when a man matures, he must marry. I want to use the word, he must marry. It is not about building a house, it's about building a home. And when you are a royal leader, it is very expected of you, even for continuity of the lineage. So I know many Basoga were eagerly waiting. Just like you are a parent and you have a son clocks 35. You eagerly in Africa.
At some point,
yes,
you're like, hey,
you're
but
waiting, you're
is
waiting.
everything okay?
Is everything, what is not
Yeah.
happening? And now all those questions were answered.
Yes.
A kingdom is full, there is a king and a queen, and I think it's now at a takeoff level.
Yes, now it's time for takeoff, and of course, like we said in the beginning, we still congratulate the people of Busoga, but also the families that lost their people during a stampede when that procession took place, where the king and queen had a procession into Jinja City. There was an accident, and unfortunately, about 6 people died. We send our heartfelt condolences to these families, but also, again, we congratulate the the people of Busoga. Now, Good Morning Uganda doesn't just talk about what happened over the weekend, but we talk about what happened in the world of news across Uganda and also across the international scene. So right now, Chirabo Robert will be sharing with us some of the stories that we have gathered for you this morning.
We'll begin with the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Anabanja, who assured the people and residents of the urban areas that government is in the process of reviewing the Parish Development Model (PDM) guidelines to better suit the need of urban parishes. Presently, the existing guidelines stipulate that all parishes are entitled to receive 100 million shillings, irrespective of their population size. During an address at the parishioners at St. Mukasa Balikudembe Church in Wachiso, Nabanja acknowledged that there are challenges faced by urban dwellers in accessing PDM funds.
Moving on, President Yoweri Museveni on Saturday inspected various infrastructure projects to assess readiness ahead of the 19th Non-Allied Movement (NAM) and the Group of 77 plus China Third South Summits. Uganda will host the two summits from 15th to 23rd January 2024 at Speak Resort Munyonyo, Kampala. The projects inspected include the transportation system along Mukwano Road, the Clock Tower Interchange, Kampala Gaba Road, Wavamuno Road, Salama Road, and the Sabala Interchange, Speak Resort Munyonyo, and Entebbe International Airport. Throughout the inspections, the President interacted with local communities, workers, and project stakeholders, acknowledging their contribution and valuable input, emphasizing further collaboration to ensure projects meet the needs of the people. The President toured a modern multi-purpose convention center at Speak Resort Munyonyo, which hosts high-end conference meeting rooms and a 4,000-seater auditorium.
And residents of Kaga, Kansanga and Soya are left in shock after KCCA demolished their houses without prior warning. The Deputy Executive Director, KCCA Engineer David Ruyimbazi, said the evacuation campaign is part of the efforts to evict all squatters in wetlands. Among the destroyed items were houses, tenants' apartments, and an apartment that was in final stages of completion. Jamil Balege, the owner of the apartment, told the UBC that there has been no documents of ownership of the property confirming authorization by the concerned parties that they will have this done. Balege called on concerned authorities to expedite the matter to ensure he gets justice for his destroyed property, threatening to sue KCCA. Kaga Village Chairman Bosa Gonza condemned the demolition exercise without any notice issued to them.
Now let's take a look at the persons living with disability. Ginger City local leaders have committed to lead lasting change to lives of persons living with psychosocial disabilities to succeed by a convention on mainstreaming rights of persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities are often excluded from health, education, employment, and humanitarian responses because of their condition. Triumph Mental Health Support and Recovery Program is partnering with Ginger City local leaders to ensure that people living with mental illness and other disabilities are supported for inclusive treatment, education, and social support without discrimination. The Executive Director, Triumph Mental Health Support and Recovery Program, Robina Alambuya, wants full and effective participation and inclusion to specific needs to ensure that persons with disabilities enjoy equal opportunities. The disability rights activists observe that persons with psychosocial disabilities even suffer high levels of stigma and discrimination due to social, cultural factors and lack of political will. Well, with that, we end our local news, and now we delve into the international news with Chantal.
Thank you, Olive. Now, crossing over internationally, at least 21 people have died in the Dominican Republic after heavy rain over the weekend, which displaced thousands of residents, officials say. An investigation has been launched after 9 people died when torrential rain caused a highway tunnel wall to collapse in the capital, Santo Domingo. More than 13,000 people were evacuated to secure areas after the heavy downpours. The Emergency Operations Center said rain caused flooded homes, power cuts, and damaged bridges and roads. 3 children were among those that died. Dominican President Luis Abinader called it the largest rainfall event ever in the country's history, following torrential storms over the past 48 hours. The Caribbean nation has been battered by torrential rainfall, with footage on social media showing torrents of water flowing through streets and washing away vehicles. Now, Munir El-Bush, the Gaza health minister, has dismissed Israel's claims that it had found a Hamas tunnel at the Al-Shifa hospital, describing it as a pure lie. Israel has continued its deadly strikes on Gaza, targeting several areas in the enclave, including the vicinity of the Indonesian hospital. More than 13,000 people have now been killed since the bombardment began on 7th October. And in Israel, the official death toll in Hamas's attacks stands at about 1,200. The Committee to Protect Journalists has said 48 journalists and media workers have been killed since the start of the conflict. 43 of those killed were Palestinians, 4 were Israelis, and 1 was Lebanese. Yemen's Houthi rebels have seized an Israeli-linked cargo ship in the Red Sea and taken 24 crew members hostage, raising fears of a wider escalation. The World Health Organization has said it evacuated 31 prematurely born babies from Al-Shifa Hospital to the European and Nasser hospitals in the south of Gaza. More than 200 patients are still stuck at this hospital. Now, coming back to Africa, Joseph Boakai has become Liberia's new leader after his rival and sitting president, George Weah, conceded a tight election to mark a peaceful transfer of power in a region that has recently seen many military coups. The country's election commission said on Friday that the 78-year-old Boakai, a former vice president, has managed to secure a narrow victory of 50.9% of the vote to Weah's 49.1%, with almost all the votes counted. The Liberian people have spoken and we have heard their voice, Weah said in an address to the nation. I urge you to follow my example and accept the result of the elections, he said, adding that our time will come again in 2029 when Boakai's 6-year-old term in office ends. The results mark a considerable shift compared with 2017, when former international football star Weah had succeeded in defeating Boakai comfortably by garnering 62% of the vote. Now, speaking matters climate, in late November, the 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP28, will be launched in Dubai. Coming at the end of the year, which broke multiple heat records, the event is supposed to set the stage for a major push to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and boost climate change adaptation globally. But ahead of the conference, there have already been warnings from climate activists and civil society that unless there is a marked change in the approach to climate policies, COP28 could fail to deliver any meaningful progress. In the Global South, there is persistent worry that wealthy nations and international corporations will push for policies that allow them to continue business as usual with poorer nations, which are the least responsible for climate change, bearing the brunt of the climate crisis. Such tendencies have already been observed at previous climate events, including most recently at the African Climate Summit held in Nairobi early September. That is it for climate news and also what is happening across the world.
Well, a lot is happening on the international scene, and we are glad to bring a bit of that to you. And if you want more, you keep watching UBC TV, because we keep bringing you news and, of course, discussions in different programs that we have right here. Even on Good Morning Uganda, we still have a lot coming your way, including topical discussions up to the hour of 9. But right now, Joram Paul Sonko takes us through the newspapers.
All right, now when we talk matters local dailies, the New Vision kicks off with police officer arrested over 1.3 billion shillings robbery. The suspect accused of committing crime 500 kilometers from his workstation. More of that is in the New Vision. Now, royal wedding, pomp and glamour at Chavazinga reception. Then also Katanga murder, family wants 5 generals quizzed. Then also health solutions to bedroom issues for men. Then in the obituary, Joyce Mpanga was a woman of many fasts. Then also Museveni inspects progress of roadworks in Kampala. A pictorial of the president's motorcade during that inspection on Saturday is at the front page of the New Vision today. Then elsewhere, the Daily Monitor, uproar as court makes it easier to fire workers. Read about that. As Mine Forever, government to give kingdoms 60 million Ugandan shillings per month. Then experts call for overhaul of education exam system as Subi takes over as first bishop of Busoga East. Then in the other news, Balalo proxies for generals and ministers, the Chief Justice reveals. That in the health living, preterm babies can survive. That and more is in the Daily Monitor. That's it for our local dailies, though. Later on, we shall be looking at what is making headlines in Kenya and Tanzania.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if you believe, if you decided to take the leap of faith in anything, through everything that you're going through in your life? Have you ever wondered what would happen if you had faith, if you believed? Well, Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston are saying a lot can happen when you believe. We will leave you with that song to inspire you this morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning and welcome back from the weekend. I'm hoping that you had a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Welcome back to our, brothers from the Busoga area and everyone that came from every part of the country and even the world to go and of course be party to the occasion where the Chavazinga of Busoga, William Gaffa Nadiope IV was having a wedding where he took a wife. Busoga saw its first royal wedding since 1956. That was no small feat. And right now they have a new mother, they have a new queen, that is Jovia Mutesi in Ebantu. So congratulations to our brothers and sisters, friends that come from the Busoga Kingdom. You have a queen, and me as a person that loves culture and that a person that is in love, I don't even shy away from saying that I'm in love with the Nabagereka, my queen, the wife to my king, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II. I congratulate you because I know how joyful, how interesting, how exciting this event was for you. And the queen is beautiful. She's, oh my goodness. Everything about that moment and that wedding was amazing. The glam, the dressing up, the fashion, everything was beautiful. So congratulations to the happy couple, and we hope that they live a peaceful and blissful marriage, blessed by amazing and beautiful children, because marriage is where children are supposed to be had and sired. That's what the Archbishop of Uganda said while joining them into holy matrimony. But coming back here, I hope that your weekend, away from all the festivities that were in Jinja, I hope that your weekend was also amazing. And if you're in Kampala, I hope that you were not really encumbered by the traffic that was in the city as the president was taking a walk around, trying to see how the construction works on different roads like Nkwano Road was going. Hopefully everything went okay for you, that you did not find any hindrances here and there. But also I hope that you are excited about the new roads that we are about to have, because Nkwano Road is almost done, and of course many other roads are being worked on so that we arrest the traffic problem in the city. Well, I'm joined by Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, Chantal, Olive Akandinda, and Jerome Paul Sonko. Good morning, Sonko.
Well, good morning, Monica. How are you doing?
I'm great.
All right, you really, really look great, by the way.
Thank you so much.
And it's high time we have to recognize it's a new week now.
Yes.
But nonetheless, you've mentioned something about the Busoga Kingdom, big signs of joy, and a big sign of clearly telling us the kingdom is there now, bigger and stronger.
Yes.
There are signs that you can look at, and that the trajectory of growth can ideally be identified. Now that there is a queen and the king and the king in the kingdom, that clearly shows.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Joko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
In the heart of Uganda, revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store, or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
anche l'ogni a te Richard. Atie la même par groupe Kanyompe.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prelnol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Over 1,000 children with disabilities in Uganda every 5 years have not had access to adequate education. And this has been basically due to lack of assistive devices to enable them get reasonable accommodation in schools. Mokisa Humanity and Inclusion Foundation is leading a campaign to fundraise for assistive devices for 500 children with disabilities to get in school in the year 2024. Join us to fundraise for braille machines, slates and styluses, white cane, braille paper, hearing aids, wheelchairs, audiobooks, book recorders, JAWS software, among others on 10th December at Hotel Africana. Register your child with a disability by calling us on 0740 55 04 95 or 0783 91 11 14. Donations from well-wishers are also welcome. Entrance is 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 and a table goes for 1 million shillings. This is sponsored by UBC, Mokisa Inclusive Schools, Mokisa Nursery Primary School, Herona Hospital, Msafiri Tours and Molia Foundation.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
It is a beautiful morning. It is chilly outside. We've received some rain again this morning, but we're warned by the Uganda Meteorological Authority that we will be receiving rains through December. So if you are, if you are disorganized or inconvenienced by the rain, you need to know that we still have this weather, or we are going to still experience this weather for a bit of time. So you should leave your home when you are ready and prepared for the change, because sometimes it's going to be extremely hot and wet at the same time. So you need to be prepared for the weather changes at any single minute. Well, today is the day that the Lord has made. We came back from the festivities in Jinja, and if you didn't manage to go to Jinja, I hope you are able to view everything that took place over there here at Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, because we're streaming live for you. But still, we welcome you back from the weekend, and we welcome you back to Good Morning Uganda. Thank you so much for keeping it afloat with us every single morning. We don't take that for granted. Now, the school year is about to end. Many schools are breaking off for holidays this Friday. And of course, there are many conversations that are usually had about the education in our country. And in as much as the school year is ending, children will be going back to school on February 5th next year, but still conversations regarding education continue, because education is the foundation of our country and of course of the future. So we are always interested in having a conversation regarding something like that, because when you educate a nation, then you are setting it up for development and success vis-a-vis a nation that has majority of uneducated people. Now, speaking of education, members of parliament from the Acholi sub-region are proposing a policy that would prevent any Ministry of Education officials, regardless of position, from owning schools, especially when they are still serving. They say that among others, when they own schools, that there is conflict of interest, and that some issues will not be handled because their hand is dipped into this jar that is the education sector. So I'd like to have a conversation regarding that. Are they onto something? Is there meat to this bone, or maybe this could be, looked over and ignored? And I would like to run to Sonko. First of all, I'd like to find out what the reasons, among others, did the members of parliament put across as a reason why education ministry officials should not own private schools?
Well, amongst the key, findings, or amongst the key reasons as to why the committee sat and actually came up with this proposal, is simply because of the findings that most of the government officials or education officials in the country today that we currently have who own private schools tend to put a lot of focus or attention onto their private schools and forget about their supervisory roles towards public schools. And there's also another issue that most of them also have a tendency of making sure that their private schools have all the facilities needed, or have, let's say, have all the equipment up to standards, while the schools from their various constituencies, where they should as well be airing out views of the same, are in bad shape. And we've seen this a couple of times, where we have ministers, who we shall not mention names, or even members of parliament, who own schools. And it is not actually bad for someone to own a school, because it can one way be a reason of expanding the education reach in the country, and then also it is a sign of business for this kind of person, whereby in case they leave parliament, or some of them may actually get into parliament when they even have these schools. So it is way beyond that. But the element of ignoring your supervisory roles in public schools, and yet your private schools are thriving at the expense of the public ones or government schools, is one of the reasons as to why the members of parliament noted this down. Also, not to forget the idea that most of the members of parliament, or some of the ministers, government officials, let's actually put it in this way, government officials have a tendency of also, there are some reports that some of them have a tendency of never putting a lot of effort in growing public schools at the same rate as the way we see their own schools. Of course, we do agree that if someone has their own, institution set up, they will as well have to prioritize it, which is okay. But remember, as a government official or as a public servant, you have, or you ought to put public interests first before your own, because the reason as to why you have these positions is you are given them, you are given these particular positions to serve the public, or to make sure that people have confidence in the government or into your office, something that they're actually failing to do. And also, when you look at the situation, is that most of these education officials also own the top schools at times. in most of the districts where they come from, you find out that a government official is actually owning a very good school, which he also recommends other people to go to, and then you
a
also,
very good school, or a set of schools.
A set of schools, exactly. And then you expect him to also be referring, let's say, parents to maybe a public school, because we also have some good public schools in the country. But then because of the other private schools and he owns, or the set of private school he owns, he tends to make sure that he puts everything needed to attract people in his.
So he's basically putting up competition for the public
schools. So he's giving us the entire idea that, well, it is better I don't even focus on the, the public school. Let me focus on the private school. But the most important part also is the supervisory role, whereby you expect them to go in there and supervise how, how the works are going on in the public schools. But then hypocritically, most of them only go there, let's say, to see the shambles these schools have, to go back to compare
and improve their own.
Yeah, and improve their own, so that in case someone comes in, they do not compare his school to the private, to the public school, and yet they are the government officials who should be setting a pace.
So the members of parliament say that these Ministry of Education officials that own schools are supposed to shape policy for schools in the country, especially public schools. So they are saying that because they own schools, and of course they are reiterating what Sonko is saying, that they are now falling short in their supervisory duty. So my question to you, Chantal, is can someone do both? Can't you be in the education ministry as a policy maker and also own a school? Why is it sacrilege?
When I was listening to Sonko speak, I was really burning to say something. If we are to talk about areas that are not supervised, schools is just like one of those things that are not supervised. Look at our roads. Look at all these policies that have been talked about, very good on paper, but they're not supervised. So should we say some roads that look good are owned by parliamentarians?
Ring road.
No, you know why I'm asking that?
No, I'm mentioning some of the beautiful roads we have.
Are they owned? Yes. Are they owned by? They're not.
They're definitely
so
not
if it's a question of supervision, if it's a question of implementation, the truth is our leaders have really failed on a number of grounds, in a number of areas where they are supposed to play this role. So I'm here to say these individuals have lives away from serving Ugandans, and I don't think it's a problem for them to own these private schools, or to own these businesses. Actually, it's not a problem. True. However, where there is a problem is who puts them in power. Are they the right people to be in power?
They could be, because look at it this way. You have this commissioner, probably he's trained in the education sector. Maybe he's a teacher, former teacher, and probably they have a good head on their shoulders and they have good policies they have suggested. Later on, because some of them are hired when they don't even have their schools. But later on, they start the schools because they understand the sector pretty well. And that's what you need. There is a time we had a conversation here, and I don't remember who, but one of us said that today people that are not doctors are owning hospitals. If someone who is a teacher or someone who is trained in that sector starts a school, it's not bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, but you're saying who elects them? Who gives them these positions? That's where you have
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It puts a question on were they the right people for the job on different grounds, not even on the grounds of qualification or technical knowledge. No, on the grounds of integrity, on the grounds of even if I have a private school, can I actually push for the public schools? Probably not. And let's be fair and honest. There is no way someone is going to take care of your child better than you.
So the pertinent question here is why is it almost how do I phrase it? What reasons would we give for people who work, for officials that work in the education ministry to not own schools? What would be those deterrents that would make them fail to do their job?
You see, like Chantal has actually mentioned and given an example, that if you're a parent, no one is going to take care of you.
Of your child better than you.
Mm-hmm. So that is one reason as to why it becomes an issue for them to do their duties
exactly
at the same level of which they are going to pay attention to their schools.
Thank you very much,
Because
Uncle.
now, first of all, they believe that if I neglect my school, then no one is going to, that's business. But then also, which brings us to the conflict of interests here, whereby if you are a government server or official, believe it or not, there comes a time where you have to put the public interest first as well. It should be among priorities. It may not be your first priority, but it should be in the same line of your first priorities. If your school is your priority, or if your life is your priority, then your school follows then also your duties. Because I do believe these people are actually paid. They are on a paycheck, in government offices. And when you're on a paycheck, you have to deliver.
Let me ask you something,
Chantal,
Sanko.
you have to deliver, really. I don't know if I'm wrong with this statement.
No, you're not.
When you're on a paycheck, you have to deliver. So, regardless of you having this, having a school, and I love the fact that the committee put it right that it is not even an issue for you to own a school. You can own as many schools as you want.
But are you doing your civil
Are you doing your civil duties?
Yes.
Because the problem is you have all these sets of good schools, but when it comes to the accountability of you as a government official, you tend to be absent.
Sonko.
Chantal is
No.
with something.
Here's the thing. Have we even stopped to assess how much government has put in to make sure these schools run? Have we stopped to assess the infrastructure of these schools? What is the budget allocated for these schools? If someone woke up and said this amount of money has been embezzled, and it was meant to develop this school and make it state of the art, then we can have that conversation.
The worry also is at times government may put up money, you never know who took the money. These officials may. There are some allegations where these officials also, because when you look at some of the corruption scandals we have in the country, the officials who are in charge of utilizing this money end up putting it into personal benefits.
Yes.
So you find a government official in such scenarios, you'll find allegations that a government official or an education official takes this money and adds more into the business here, or what you could say into their own school.
Understood.
These are allegations as well.
And Chantal, to answer you, the government spends 1.8 trillion, on the education sector.
On the education sector.
Yes.
Are we talking about infrastructure? Are we talking about in form of teachers?
When you talk about the education sector.
Is it reflecting?
Actually, it does, because you see, when we speak about the education sector, our minds go to the high-end schools, okay? Let's note that there are schools that are not government owned but government supported. Okay, and then there are schools that are owned by the government. Yes, we know that our biggest part of our education is hugely privatized, especially when you go to kindergartens that are fully privately owned, and then primary schools where I think about 75% of them are still privately owned, and then secondary schools are also all privately owned to a large extent. But we still need to recognize government's efforts in the education sector. How? Government has made sure that, you know how we have health center fours in different regions? Now we have seed schools in different regions, because private school owners are also sharp. They invest where they can get return on investment. True. So to a Ugandan that is deep somewhere in a certain village, they may not have a private school. And who is giving them education there? Government. The other day when I was having a conversation with the head of prevention, of HIV prevention at the Uganda AIDS Commission. He said, when we talk about development partners investing in the HIV response, we normally ask, what has the government done? But we forget that government has contributed to things like education, because it is said when you keep children in school, especially girls, you're going to reduce the extent of infection among females, because right now we know that the highest prevalence rate is mainly among girls and older men. But if these girls are in school, then these older men probably don't have access to them. What am I saying? Government is investing in education, especially in hard-to-reach areas. So we need to commend it for that.
Very true. Very true.
You know, I'm not saying government is not doing anything, but I think our efforts are being misguided in a way. What do I mean? I want you to go to, okay. How many, for example, district education officers do we have? You understand? Even just inspecting the private schools to ensure that they're up to certain standards. When was the last time you had such operations happening? What am I trying to say? We are misguiding our focus on what is failing these public schools. And it's not, it's how many government officials own schools? What percentage do they own? Because if we're to make that comparison now, you realize that still the public schools are likely to outweigh the private schools that are owned by these members of parliament or these leaders that we have in government. And what does that mean? That means that either way, the comparison we are making may not give us effective results. Let's go back to the drawing board and find out why we have an issue. It's one of the issues, yes, because some of these individuals will redirect the money that is, like they put
the
it,
resources.
Yes, redirect to their own personal schools. Understood. Redirect some of the supplies to their schools. Understood. But one, what has been done to regulate this? Now that's where government comes in. Two, if you expect me to go and inspect this school, but last year when I inspected, it was in the same state, I brought a report, nothing was done. Why should this person be motivated to go back and inspect again?
But are they even inspecting? That is the big question, and I think that's what Sonko was saying. Are they really inspecting? Because let's say government has released funds to buy books. Are these books being taken to government schools, or they're being redirected?
Because one thing
that is the
resources that the government is releasing for public schools, going to the public schools, or the officials that that have access to these resources and own schools, are they taking them to their own schools?
Because you see, Chantal, I as a beneficiary of the USEE, there's something, USE.
Yes.
One thing I noticed is, at times, government may not have money or resources, but because of the external fundings we do have, government gets these either grants or gets educational materials, and they're supposed to be going to these schools. And this is where, in numerous occasions, like you've mentioned, we've seen some of these resources being diverted to the private schools. And this is because these private schools are owned by
an official, a commissioner.
And the worry for the members of parliament, Chantal, is not only because at times government also fails to follow up, but the issue is these officials are supposed to do the following up.
Exactly, because when you say follow up, who is supposed to? The person who is supposed to follow up is the person that owns a school somewhere else.
Exactly.
And their attention is in their school.
Who does that person report to? Why aren't they out of that office if they have failed?
Because remember, if you are the supervisor, you report to your immediate boss. So your boss has to get back to you, the supervisor.
So let me ask a question. What if the person that is supposed to be reported to is the owner of the private school, and is the person with the access to the funds and resources that are provided by the government?
I think let's now take it to let's get a little more practical with this one. Giving an example, I am, say, a district education officer, and I'm supposed to go and supervise the school, these private schools, and then the person I'm reporting to has a private school. So that means the report does not reach where it's supposed to go. That's what you're saying. right?
Well, that's what the members of parliament pointed out.
So I am asking, the person I'm reporting to, who is my supervisor, they don't report to anyone?
Well, the one thing you need to realize is that there is hierarchy. There is hierarchy in government.
So how
we should
long?
not bury our heads in the sand and pretend not to know how certain things work.
Because, you know,
So how
there's
long
an
are we going
office
to-
we're not supposed to expect on ground. And that is why we have this supervisory
you're not
duties.
getting me. You're not getting me. How long should it take for us to realize that there is an issue in the war reports are coming in because what we are seeing on the news, any follow-ups that are being done are not giving us the results we are looking for? That should be a cause for alarm. If I am reporting to Sonko, who is my supervisor, who has a private school, and the reports are not reaching the higher office should be concerned. That is why at a particular point, back in the day, you would see the former, that is Alan Kajina, would go inspect some roads. That is why you're seeing President Museveni saying, okay, let me go and see some of these roads.
So you're
Why
saying
am I
the
seeing
Minister
news?
of Education at some point should go
No,
and
but
What I'm trying to
schools.
say, someone in a higher office should be concerned if the reports that are coming in are not reflecting the results that we are
question
seeing.
is, are the reports getting to this person?
And I'm telling you, if the reports are not getting there, if the reports are not getting there, that is a cause for alarm. And also, we are in an era where it's very easy to access this information. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because we have seen cases where a video goes viral on social media and you're wondering, but I thought this thing was done. But it was never done.
Well, that can only happen if someone decides to do citizen journalism.
Yes.
But in
But
most
you see,
cases,
also-
the parents in these schools do not even know that they can actually effect change by doing something like
No, you know,
that.
Chantal, you do have a point, but to a percentage, you get to realize that, for example, case in point, the minister, you may not find the minister everywhere. And the chances are very, are very minimal for the minister to go on following up everything.
Because
it's more like
she
us calling the
has
president.
people
Exactly.
that are supposed to do
It's more like
certain
calling the
jobs.
president to go follow up on everything, yet he has RDCs. So when you put in place these particular people, they are to report to you that this and this has actually been done. That is why, for example, the president now went on ground on Saturday to check out on, for example, the state of roads in Kampala. But when you look at the situation is that it's not the first time that he has actually heard from the same. You see, when the things continue, he actually came on ground to first of all check and see why are the reports continuously coming in. But now the worry is with the education sector, you get to realize that at times these reports may not come in. Why? At times the government official, for example, in the first incident, may have received the report coming in from a place where he's supposed to supervise, and it's putting this person in hot soup because of failure to do something. Now he says, no, I won't be able to report because he knows what is coming next immediately after they are found guilty of the same. So in simple terms, I think besides, let's say, besides pinning the government in one way in regards to do they follow up as well, let's also look at who is supposed to be taking these details to the government, because the issue of the supervisor is to make sure that everything is in order. If things fail to be in order in the first month you report,
Chantal, you're
month you
banning,
report,
but I would
third month
like,
you
you're
report.
banning to say something, but I would like to invite our viewers into this conversation. I know this is something that is very sensitive and close to home because many of us either have children or have siblings or are passionate about education because, let's face it, education is what makes us who we are today. I'm here and my colleagues and you where you are because someone out there took you to school, you were educated, and as such, the education matters of our country matter to you too. So we'd like for you to share your opinion on the notion that education officials should refrain from running private schools. Is it okay? Do you agree by the suggestion that there should be a policy that deters education officials from owning or running or operating private schools? That's the conversation we are having this morning, and we'd like to have your views shared with with us. Please do not call. Please do not call. Just text. The WhatsApp number is 0709-602-592. Again, the number is 0709-602-592. And if you are on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU. Would like to hear from you. We have already shared the poll question on our social media handle. Now, coming back, Chantal, you had something to say.
I would like to know, so you are telling me that aside from me, who is supposed to be giving a report to my supervisor, I say, who has a private school and cannot take the report further, you mean we don't have auditors, we don't have the monitoring and evaluation teams? I am trying to think through this and look at all avenues that are available for us to be able to get these reports or even hints coming in. We have the element of whistleblowers. Where are they? I'm trying to see where did the members of parliament get this information from? Information is out there, and if it is sought, it can be got.
So Chantal, I'm trying to understand your argument. What exactly is your argument?
I am saying government needs to be at the control, at the center of all this, because guess what, as individuals, different interests, different backgrounds, you may not have control over how they run the work they are given.
So when you say government, who is government? Because government is not a certain thing out there. Government is people. Government employs these people. Right now, there are people who are viewing us as government because we work for the national broadcaster.
And we are.
So we are part of the government. We are part of the system. So when you say government, aren't you trying to separate these government officials in the education ministry running private schools from the system?
And you know, at times they will actually tell you that is no longer my duty. And yet, you know, because with the same they will say, well, I did my role. I went and filed in a report, but did you follow up as a government official? Because you see, with what I did share earlier, is that at times someone goes to a public school and sees something missing, writes a report. After seeing this, he files in the report. It's done for him. Then all he manages is, now if this is in this situation, he runs back to his own to make sure that at least his is actually followed up, everything is actually done. Something they fail at doing when it comes to their duties.
The other question is, do they have the time to actually go and do their supervisory duty, or they are so busy running their own
No, the time
schools?
issue is supposed to be
have we
theirs to
looked
put up
also at conflict of interest when it comes to government officials, actually not government officials, Ministry of Education officials that also run private schools? Because if you have, let's say, 5 successful, we know some people in the ministry that own about 3 to 4, 5 schools, okay? And yet they're also supposed to be commissioners. Do they really have the time to focus on their government duty of, you know, supervising and shaping policy, or the whatever mind space they have left is for their schools?
You know, I am not disputing, and I earlier put this, I'm not disputing the fact that it is one of the reasons we are seeing some challenges in public schools, especially things to do with policies, because these people have interest, yeah? But my question, as I earlier put it, who supervises these people? And when I say government, let's be honest here. The biggest percentage of the work is usually done by the ruling party, whether we like it or not. So that means that whoever is under the ruling party, one, understands the mandate of the ruling party, understands the goal and the vision of the president and whoever else the president appoints. Now, that is the point where there should be concern, because if we are looking at developing the education sector, the health sector, and according to our manifesto, according to the goals that we have as a party, this is not happening. Where are they? They should be coming out to put the people on the spot that they put in offices, because listen, someone will be, you said they could have a good head on the shoulder, really educated, very qualified, I mean, the technical ability is really good, but now goes back to question of character, where this person may not be in position to deliver, especially because of their own personal inefficiencies. Now, that's the part where the ruling party is supposed to be concerned.
The ruling
because
government.
because at the end of the day, when someone wakes up to speak, they will say, you get what I'm saying? So the concern should come from above, and these people should be put out of office if they have failed to deliver on, the officials who are put in these offices to make sure that the schools run. If you are in a ministry, you have a mandate, and you're not playing your role, you should be put out. Simple, because we don't have control over how you behave.
It's easy to say put out, but we had a Mabati scandal and people are still ministers.
They lost interest in the case.
And exactly, but I have views coming through, and I would like to share some of those. The first one is from Ojok Stephen from Mokono, and he says, I think it's one of the best ideas to handle education in the country. Reason being, those government or education ministry officials divert government resources and programs to their private schools, thereby leaving public institutions with too much gap. Secondly, those private institutions do not follow government programs as far as reporting and returning debts are concerned. We once had a conversation here where it was being reported that private schools report to close earlier than stipulated by government, or report earlier than stipulated or later than stipulated by government. And this one says, good morning, Najima. The biggest problem in public schools is not education officials, but lack of patriotism among teachers and head teachers, negligence and politics at the local levels. Just look at... well, he's comparing UBC and other private media, and he's asking, do they have the same infrastructure? Government schools, they are going to the dogs. Wow. Okay, thank you so much, Mukisa from Tororo. This one says, MPs are just biased. They are taking the matter personally. So probably this person is insinuating that members of parliament could be a bit maybe envious of their colleagues that have schools. And Wilson Olinga says he's following from live from Muhuya village, Busabi sub-county, Butaleja district. And he says his point is let that motion be passed because government schools lack a lot which the senior officials are ought to do, but they usually don't. And this one says a policy should be passed because these officers divert resources meant for public schools for their own benefit, for the benefits of their private school businesses. And this one says, this is from Orech Ambrose. And he says, I think the proposed policy is going to change a lot of things in the education sector if actualized, but should be implemented across the board, not only at national level. Government officials, especially from the education sector who own schools, tend to compromise a lot of critical issues in the education sector to protect their interests. For example, there are still very many unqualified teachers in most private schools because of conflict of interest by officials to advise the government to implement national teacher policy. They do not also do spirited monitoring in government schools because they think performing government schools can threaten their private businesses. This policy should also be ratified in the health sector if we can have quality service delivery. This is Orich Ambrose he is the District Youth Councillor, Amolata, and Chairperson, Committee of Education, Health and Community-Based Services. Thank you so much, Orech. And this one says those government officials should resign and run their schools. Chantal, someone is speaking your mind. And Hatchman says, in my view, if one pursues and meets his duties and hence no conflict of interest in play, I see no grounds whatsoever. And which one would be deterred from having his own school? Well, the question is, are they doing their job, or is there a conflict of interest or not? And I will end with this. I know many are coming through, but we have run out of time. This one says, well, Welcome back from the Shabazinga's wedding. He says to discuss on the conversation of government schools and private schools. For the private ones, they have quick service delivery because there is no requisition there. For private schools are better than government ones. Well, thank you so much for your views. This is the time, that's all that I could share. Your views are very important to us, so you can keep the conversation going on our X app. We will still be following up with you. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda, and we are still continuing. When we come back, we will have Good Morning Uganda business and of course traffic updates, and later on sports updates and GMU agenda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Over 1,000 children with disabilities in Uganda every 5 years have not had access to adequate education. And this has been basically due to lack of assistive devices to enable them get reasonable accommodation in schools. Mokisa Humanity and Inclusion Foundation is leading a campaign to fundraise for assistive devices for 500 children with disabilities to get in school in the year 2024. Join us to fundraise for braille machines, slates and styluses, white cane, braille paper, hearing aids, wheelchairs, audiobooks, book recorders, JAWS software, among others, on 10th December at Hotel Africana. Register your child with a disability by calling us on 0740 55 04 95 or 0783 91 11 14. Donations from well-wishers are also welcome. Entrance is 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 and a table goes for 1 million shillings. This is sponsored by UBC, Mokisa Inclusive Schools, Mokisa Nursery and Primary School, Herona Hospital, Msafiri Tours and Molia Foundation.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prel Knoll project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prel Knoll approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning again, and many thanks for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. It's now time for us to check out what is making headlines from the world of business. Well, matters climate change is where we are going to be starting from. Why did I mention climate change? When you look at the fact that we do have endless rains within the country here, one may think it's only happening here. But well, our brothers in Kenya are also facing it roughly. Well, there was a video that was trending on social media Kenya just a few days ago in relation to what was happening at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, where it was actually having leakages that saw rainfalls that actually saw water droplets into the waiting area of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, besides the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, there is also some disruption caused by the rainfalls, and this particular one is at the port of Mombasa, because Kenya state-owned rail company said cargo services to and from the city, from the port city of Mombasa, have been interrupted because of heavy rains and landslides across the coastal region. The Horn of Africa has experienced intense rainfall and flash flooding linked to the El Nino weather phenomenon in recent weeks that has claimed dozens of lives, including at least 46 that have been recorded in Kenya. Now, Kenyan Railways said floods and landslides in recent days had caused the unexpected delay and evacuation of cargo from Mombasa, Nairobi, and the delivery of cargo in the port of Mombasa. So for all of you, if in case you have goods at the port or at the coast of East Africa, when you hear such kind of information, you're supposed to have your insurance ready, and also prayers in regards to the same, because the situation is not getting any better. But of course, the officials at the port are making sure that they evacuate most of these particular containers, and to make sure that at least the goods are taken into the inland ports for safety. Now elsewhere, let's talk matters tea growing in Uganda, as Uganda's cabinet will today and tomorrow, that's Tuesday, discuss among many issues the solutions to the current falling prices in the tea value chain. Well, this was revealed by the Minister for Local Government, that is Raphael Majezi, while presiding over the inaugural graduation ceremony of JJ Excel College in Bushenyi District on Friday, where about 107 students graduated in various technical and vocational programs. And Majezi said that the president asked ministers to study the ongoing falling tea prices in the country and report to him. Well, I do remember earlier on with the GMU business update, that was around September, where it came out, around October rather, where it came out and gave you an update in regards to how tea prices are falling, and it has actually affected all the growers of the same, who continuously called on to the government to step in and check out the situation, because it is actually very unprofitable for them. Well, of course, now the president did send in a directive to the ministers to check it out and provide a report on the same matter to ensure that the tea growers will not run out of business. Well, the Minister for Local Government has assured or reassured the tea farmers in Uganda that all will be well, and the government is working towards the growing price fluctuations in the tea industry. All right, now on Saturday, it was a huge milestone of a celebration, let's say, as the Kingdom of Busoga received a queen. Of course, the second wedding, the second royal wedding since 1956. And this time round, the Inavantu Jovia Mutesi is now the Queen of Busoga. But besides that, it was further revealed by the Deputy Speaker to Parliament, Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, that kingdoms are to receive 60 million Ugandan shillings. Now, 60 million Ugandan shillings will be received by kingdoms on a monthly basis to help them run various activities, which activities also include, it is not only going to the kingdom, but all recognized cultural institutions that will actually enable them run smoothly. Now, this being disclosed by the Deputy Speaker to Parliament, that the President made a directive that the kingdom must be well facilitated, and of course this is not only to the Kingdom of Busoga, but widely going to all recognized cultural institutions, speaking of which kingdoms and chiefdoms. So 60 million Ugandan shillings will be going to the kingdom government from the local, rather from the central government, going into the kingdoms across the country. And well, now, lastly, from the world of business, let's look at the forex market close of business Friday as the markets reopen today morning. How can you find the various currencies in that particular regard? Now, looking at the US dollar opening by Friday, buying was at 3,775.17, while selling was at 3,785.17 shillings. Then the closing time, buying was 3,774.63 shillings for the US dollar, while selling was 3,784.63. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,687.71 while selling at 4,700.13. The euro was buying at 4,098.11 while selling at 4,108.97. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 24.78 while selling at 24.84 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.50 shillings while selling at 1.51 shillings. Now let's also look at the South African rand. It was buying at 208.24 shillings while selling at 205.79 shillings. All right, now lastly, let's look at the press review. First, we revisit the headlines here in Uganda. All the front pages of the dailies in Uganda. The royal wedding, pomp and glamour at Chabazinga reception. The New Vision highlights. Then also, police officer arrested over 1.3 billion shillings robbery as a suspect accused of committing crime 500 kilometers from his workstation. As President Museveni inspects progress of roadworks, a pictorial of the presidential motorcade around the Kampala flyover on Saturday. Now, health, solutions to bedroom issues for men. Read more about that. And then also, Katanga murder family wants 5 generals squeezed. Then the obituary, Joyce Mpanga was a woman of many fasts. Read about the late Joyce Mpanga in today's New Vision. May her soul continue to rest in peace, though. Now, the Daily Monitor. At the front page of the Daily Monitor, Monday, uproar as court makes it easier to fire workers. Court of Appeal sets precedent in a judgment saying that employers, in case of anything, before did not have to give reasons for termination of an employee's contract, but now it may be possible. Now, experts call for overhaul of education exam system as the CJ reveals that Balalo are proxies for generals and ministers. Then healthy living, preterm babies can survive as Mine Forever government to give kingdoms 60 million shillings per month, according to new revelations. Then Subi takes over as first bishop of Busoga East. Then away from Uganda, the Daily Nation in Kenya. After record taxes, state eyes fees and fines as the Kenyans in the economy to feel pinch of higher levies even as they struggle under current hard times. Then El Nino, bodies of Kenya Revenue Authority staff has recovered amid flooding havoc. Uhuru to Ruto, leave me out of your mess, he says. Then also, Kenya face home team socials in Cote d'Ivoire for the World Cup qualifiers. Then investigation, ban of teenage pregnancy weighs down on Kandui. Read about that in the Daily Nation. Then lastly, the Citizen newspaper, that is for Tanzania. Why T-bills are in demand despite modest returns. Then Mbeya Cement upbeat as Swiss Farm sells 65% stake. Then Sevtelana, your digital footprint can be made to reflect growth as TPC is to invest 112 billion Tanzanian shillings in molasses factory. Then lastly, at the front page of the Citizen, what Tanzanian youth activists want from the upcoming COP28. That is it for our press review this time round. It's Monday, cold one. It's now time for us to check out the traffic updates with Olive Monica.
That's right. This is the moment where we share traffic updates for this morning. And if you're coming from the areas of Gayaza Road through Chanja, Chisasi, accessing town, this is where we are going to put our main focus. But once again, good morning. My name is Olive Monica Najuma to help you maneuver through this morning's traffic or lack thereof this morning. So we start around Kumbuzi in Gayaza or along Gayaza Road, and we are going to take the route of Chisasi, Chanja into Chisasi and then into town. And as you can see around the areas of Kumbuzi, there is a traffic jam over there, and for not a big stretch, but at this intersection you will be held up for a bit of time. But the good news is that when you make the turn to the Chanja Chisasi Road, there is smooth flow of traffic as evidenced by those green zones you are seeing on your screen. Now, still continuing with the Chanja Chisasi Road, there is still smooth flow of traffic up until you reach Chanja School Road. You will encounter a little bit of traffic that is starting to mount, but still it is not much. Now, looking at some of the feeder roads that are also feeding into the Chanja Chisasi Road, like Chanja Ring Road, there is still smooth flow of traffic coming from this side of town, and of course joining the main Chanja Chisasi Road, and still there is smooth flow of traffic. Now, as we go ahead, there are a few sections that have orange zones, as you can see over there, but the orange zones are known for so long a time or a space, so you should be able to still move in record time. And the roads that are feeding into Chanja Chisasi Road also look clean. I see Manchester Road is super clean, meaning that there is smooth flow of traffic in this area. And still continuing ahead along Chanja Chisasi Road, Wantate Road that feeds into Chanja Chisasi Road on Tinda Chisasi Road now is still not bringing in any traffic, so there is still smooth flow of traffic. Even in Dudu Road still looks clean. Now, as we approach the areas of Ontinda around Chisasi, now traffic is starting to mount, and I can see red zones on both sides of the road. Now, in this area, as you can see there around Satellite Hotel in Chisasi, you're going to find traffic jam on both sides of the road, meaning people that are accessing Chanja from Ntinda or accessing Chisasi from the areas of Ntinda are right now stuck in traffic, and also the people that are heading to the sides of Ntinda or sides of town are also stuck in traffic, as you can see around the area that has Bahai Road feeding into Chanja Chisasi on Tinda Chisasi Road. And this traffic jam continues for a bit of time. Now, looking at our friends coming in from Bahai Road, there is traffic from that side of town this morning, so you might be held up quite a bit, because I can see from this intersection that joins Bahai Road to Bokoto Chisasi Road, there is traffic coming through, and it comes all the way and joins this intersection that brings you from Chanja Chisasi Road. Now, continuing ahead still to the where you're about to reach the Northern Bypass roundabout, I see traffic coming through from this area, from Kulambiro Ring Road, and it is quite intense. Usually people use Kulambiro Ring Road as a back route to avoid traffic, but this morning it seems like the back route itself now is bringing in intense traffic. As you can see, that red line goes on and on from Kulambiro Ring Road for quite a stretch of time and space, meaning people that have decided to use this road this morning are currently stuck in traffic jam up until the intersection where they join Chanja or Chisasi Road on Tinda Road, and continuing to the roundabout of the bypass. As you can see it there, There are red zones still coming through actually from Kulambiro Ring Road, joining the roundabout itself and then continuing to the areas of Ntinda. Now, as you can see, the area of Ntinda around the jam continues, but if you're to use Magambo Road this morning, then there is a bit of smooth flow of traffic and then the jam catches up. And when we follow Magambo Road for quite some time, you will see that the traffic jam in this area this morning keeps going up until you join the Ntinda Bukoto Road. Now, looking at Ntinda Bukoto Road from where it joins Magambo Road, there is traffic jam around North Green School, and it goes on and on, and it is on both sides of the road. So if you're coming from Bukoto going to Ntinda, or from Ntinda going to Bukoto, unfortunately for you this morning, you're going to be held up because I don't see any green zone around this area. Even Ntinda 2 Road is feeding into Ntinda Bukoto Road, and the traffic just continues. So for a stretch of time, for the people coming from Ntinda going to town, you're going to be held up in traffic jam, because even as I look at Chira Road right now, there is intense traffic over there up until the intersection that joins Naguru E Road to Ntinda Bukoto Road, and still the traffic continues for a stretch of time. And of course, there is traffic jam that is coming in through Bukoto Chisalo Road, and it is also looking intense over there. So up until when you leave that intersection that joins Chisalo to Chira Road, there you're going to experience some bit of smooth flow of traffic, and up until you reach Kabira stage and those traffic lights. And when you move ahead, you will realize that there is a bit of smooth flow of traffic, but still there is traffic coming in from Corporation Rise, joining Chira Road up until the traffic lights that take you to the areas of Lugogo Bypass or Kamocha. Now, if you reach there, you may be in luck. There is a bit of smooth flow of traffic. So if that's the side of town you're headed to, then things would look good for you, because Lugogo Bypass has a smooth flow of traffic this morning up until you reach the areas of Chadondo Rugby Ground at Jinja Road. Well, I hope that this information helps. I hope it will enable you to choose your route this morning in a calculated manner, so that you don't get held up in a traffic jam. If you know any feeder routes that you can use and they have been mentioned to be free this morning, you could take advantage of that so that you don't lose so much time on the road. There is a report which says that many Ugandans spend half of their day in traffic jam. That is the traffic jam they experience in the morning and in the evening, and it takes away from their productive day and time. Well, my name is Olive Monica Najuma. Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda, and Good Morning Uganda still continues up to the hour of 9 a.m. So keep with us.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Over 1,000 children with disabilities in Uganda every 5 years have not had access to adequate education. And this has been basically due to lack of assistive devices to enable them get reasonable accommodation in schools. Mokisa Humanity and Inclusion Foundation is leading a campaign to fundraise for assistive devices for 500 children with disabilities to get in school in the year 2024. Join us to fundraise for braille machines, slates and styluses, white cane, braille paper, hearing aid, wheelchairs, audiobooks, book recorders, JAWS software, among others, on 10th December at Hotel Africana. Register your child with a disability by calling us on 0740 55 04 95 or 0783 91 11 14. Donations from well-wishers are also welcome. Entrance is 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 and a table goes for 1 million shillings. This is sponsored by UBC, Mokisa Inclusive Schools, Mokisa Nursery and Primary School, Herona Hospital, Msafiri Tours and Malia Foundation.
In the heart of Uganda, a financial revolution is happening. We were once left out, saving the old-fashioned way, with an unexpected saving spot, keeping it too close for comfort. But now, we found a better way to save and manage money. Download the Wendy app from Google Play or App Store or dial *229#. With Wendy, your money is safe and you can earn interest daily. Visit your Google Play or App Store or dial *229# to register. Wendy Wanawoli.
My name is Abel Bakunda, Deputy RDC Kario District. There are so many success stories and achievements that have been registered in Kario District and cutting across all the sectors and departments. The government interest is to have seed schools in almost every sub-county. And so far, the coverage in Cairo, we are still like at 40%. We are starting, but we are moving at a high speed. Then the Uganda Health Center, it is also a success story in the Department of Health. We are so far also the government is elevating the Manya Health Center for the district hospital. Then in the Department of Production, there are so many successful farmers moving far away from the traditional subsistence farming to the money economy. Our interventions of the Myoga and PDM have so far had impacts on ground. Generally, it is good, we are trying, and there are so many success stories that anybody can come and see on ground.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Junko.
Yo. Wachiko.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret? Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A lovely morning to you. Thank you so much for keeping it with us on UPC TV. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyintono. Monday morning, I must say, when I look outside the studios, I can see a bit of sunshine coming up. And of course, we had a very heavy shower early morning. I don't know where you are and weather is like right now, because in this part of Africa, gifted by nature, it can rain in one particular part and the other is not raining. We have 5 divisions of Kampala, but can choose to rain in Machindi, and maybe people in Nakawa are not getting that rainfall. Maybe people in Kawempe are not getting that rain. But in case we share the same weather of now, well, it's time for you to rise and ensure that you heat your workplace. This morning, we are going to be discussing something very interesting. My guest will be joining me shortly, and that is affairs in Parliament. Well, of late, we've seen so much happening where members of Parliament of opposition, and maybe I would say some members of the opposition, because we've also had the like to mention, but a few who've said, no, we have to represent our people, see how things go on. And some are learning to the platform are saying we're not going to Parliament unless we are convinced there's thorough report, explanation of exactly what is happening regarding the missing colleagues. Remember 5th October when Robert Kyagulanyi was arrested upon his return. We remember then the issue of a report containing the missing people that the National Unity Platform claims or alleges that these were taken by security forces, never known about their whereabouts, and this kind of torture as they put it down. Now recently, the Speaker made headlines when she said, well, according to the rules governing Parliament, if a member of Parliament misses 15 consecutive sittings without a valid reason, the Speaker can expel that member of Parliament, and that member of Parliament will lose his or her seat. Also has raised mixed feelings. This very week on Tuesday, there were a program that a report will be brought to Parliament and more details. But unfortunately, the Speaker then early last week came out and said this will not be possible because there is a meeting where the key stakeholders in this must attend, and therefore even this very Tuesday, unless otherwise, that report may not come. Now, joining me on set is a senior citizen, a senior politician, a man who represented the youth in the Constituent Assembly. Those that remember, so when you talk about the Constitution, the guest I have this morning was there. He has been a direct member of Parliament. One time he represented a constituency where I come from. He has been to the East African Parliament. He has been to the Pan-African Parliament. He has, I think he has finished the hierarchy that a Ugandan can be part of. He is a Lotarian that I can't skip. He has a heart, and he has been so fundamental when it comes to various discussions that matter on the political arena. Now, join me, welcome my guest, Mike Sebaru. Honorable, you're most welcome this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's been a while since I last came here. I would like to greet and salute all the viewers out there for tuning in and giving us your time. And I would also like to appreciate you for what you do for your own living and for the nation. And I'm glad I'm here. Maybe allow me to congratulate the school that I went to for primary, and that is Mugongo Primary School, for my formative early education of primary. It is celebrating 100 years of existence.
Is it this one around Chengera?
Yeah, that one around
the Church of Uganda.
Within Chengera Town Council, Mugongo Church of Uganda, the parish. So that school is celebrating 100 years on the 25th of this month. That is next Saturday. The celebrations will be at Mugongo Church of Uganda, the school playground. But before that, on Thursday, 23rd, we shall have the centenary run, for which I'll be the chief runner. So I'd like to invite all old boys and girls of Mugongo Primary School and those that wish it well, and the parents, and the various stakeholders associated with it to join us for these celebrations. 100 years is not a cup of tea. It is something good to write home about and something great to celebrate.
And it's still in existence because usually we have family burial grounds around there. So by somehow the prayers happen there, then we go. And a school being there for 100 years.
100
You've seen
years.
many schools that when you hunt for their existence, you may not find them there. So that is
and
not
100 years of uninterrupted service in terms of imparting knowledge to the young Ugandans. Yep.
Now, away from that, of course, we wish you the best, and of course, all OBs, OGs, and well-wishers, please adhere to the call. Now, Honorable Sebalu, you have been in Parliament, I can mention. To begin with, when we see what is happening in Parliament today, you have a commissioner banned, then courts reinstates him, you have accusations of utterances, we have now the speaker saying if you miss consecutively. What do you make of the quality of our politicians, most of parliamentarians?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. It is a very fundamental question, and I think the timing could not have been any better, given what we are witnessing, what we are seeing happening, and how people are managing the affairs of public responsibility. It is indeed a very fundamental question. But we need to look at the core areas of Parliament. You know, Parliament is there to make laws. That is a very important responsibility. Parliament is there to represent the people. That is the representative role. Very, very fundamental too. And Parliament is also there to do, to pass the budget, you know, matters of the budget, passing the budget and appropriation, as it were. In all those responsibilities, you need leaders with focus. You need leaders with purpose. You need leaders who are objective. You need leaders who are intentional. You need leaders who are deliberate to offer leadership in the true sense of leadership. Now, we find ourselves in a situation where we have those attributes rather not being harnessed to the maximum. Incidentally, it should be that all those attributes are harnessed to the maximum. And to do that, there are certain aspects that we need to see. You know, integrity being one of them, decorum being one of them, constructive engagement being one of them. But there is a vice that we have now in our society, which may be counter to good best practice in terms of leadership. And that is the whole notion of celebrity. You know, and people are pursuing it using means that are not conventional. You know, they playing to the gallery. You know, you find people are not in Parliament during the debate of constructive engagement, but they went to pick cameras on the veranda of Parliament, and they give all kinds of interviews, some of which may not even be related to the subject matter under discussion. And some of them want to say what people need to hear. No, they say what people want to hear, not what people need to hear. And yet in serious leadership, a true leader a responsible leader should be able to say what people may not necessarily want to hear, but what indeed they need to hear from the leadership perspective. We are having short of that being demonstrated by leaders, and to the extent that sensationalism, populism is carrying the day.
Now,
It
who
is
do
the
we
order of
blame
the
this?
day.
Should we count it on you people who are in the CA? If my memory serves me right, you are representing youth from the Central Region. Then later you represented the Chadondo East? Busiro East as a member of parliament. And you've gone to the East African Parliament, Pan-African Parliament. Who do we blame? Because many political analysts have said that if you look at the breed of members of parliament who are in the Constituent Assembly and the parliaments that there came in, the way they would analyze, the way they would interpret, and they had a nation at first. Where did we go wrong?
Yeah, I think there are two areas we need to look at. I think my own view is that the best we ever had at parliamentary level was the individual merit. Because people would offer themselves for leadership based on what they are able to do. And the voters more often would look at education, experience, exposure, and expertise. And that therefore generated a leadership breed that was driven by knowledge, that was grounded in matters of integrity, that were focused, and that had distinguished purpose. Because I remember situations where you would be in the house and people would use their knowledge to sway opinion. And you'd find an individual picking a microphone, using their knowledge, and they give technicalities and good arguments, and you find that even when you came with a different position, you may end up taking up the arguments that are created. But with the advent of multipartism, I think we need to do more. We need to do better, and we need to do well in multipartism in terms of preparing the kind of leaders that we have, training them, giving them good practices in terms of decorum and etiquette, and also allow them to apply the knowledge they have, the experience, and the exposure. Because what happens normally in multipartism now, once a party has taken a position, you find that even if you disagree with it from your knowledge base, your experience and exposure, you may not have opportunity to sway opinion once a decision is taken.
Yes.
That is what was the order of the day during the individual merit parliament, where
because you could disagree and you didn't have anywhere.
Even on the floor they would disagree, and you find that what appeared to be a popular position has been offset by good logic and good arguments and technical input. Now that is not the position now, although you are allowed to participate in the caucus, maybe where consensus is supposed to be generated, but you may find that at times a decision is already made and the arguments are supposed to favor that. So that may not allow people to apply their full potential in terms of their experience and knowledge and the technical know-how. Now you also have a situation which is like that, and then you get people who are not exposed, people who are not experienced, people who simply emerged out of a wave. Because during the past elections, some members made it to parliament, not necessarily on the basis of their credentials, but on the basis of the wave that swept certain constituencies. How do you explain a gentleman like Dr. Muyingo not being elected and someone else being elected? I'm told that during one of the meetings, people were wondering whether actually they had not voted for Dr. Muyingo because they were following some emblem. They didn't now unpack it to know exactly whom they were bringing in and whom they were ejecting. So with that kind of voting pattern, you find that some of the elements that make their way to the House really don't deserve to be there, or they fall short of what it takes, what it is needed to be a very credible, respectful, informed, knowledgeable, and good leader.
Now, that said, we know that in the nature of democracy we are in, multi-party democracy, numbers matter.
Yes, they
the
do.
winner takes it all. And sometimes many making a decision may not mean that it's the right decision. Now, in such an incident, how best can members of the opposition sail through? Because they know that even if we don't agree, we don't have the numbers.
Yeah, I think it is not so much about numbers if you are looking at democracy from a wider perspective.
Because this is what they have been doing every time, leave alone voting on critical issues. The opposition had, I want to use this word, that has been left maybe with no any other alternative, but to say we were not part of this. Every time now they feel that they have been pressed and wanting to make a statement. It is boycotting.
But you see, you need to appreciate for instance, the rules of procedure. The rules of procedure don't provide for a walkout or a boycott as one way of decision making. That is not anywhere, and that would be a crazy idea if it were ever provided for in any rules of procedure or any form of procedures. Once that is not provided for, then it is injurious for you to take it as an option. It doesn't remain a good alternative, and definitely applying it may not be a wise thing to do, or it may not even be desirable, because your absence does not deny Parliament to proceed with its work. And once you can't do that, whatever decision is made, you are part of it because you are part of that Parliament. If we are talking about the 11th Parliament, all the laws passed by the 11 parliaments are attributed to members of the 11th Parliament. Whether you were there or not, you are part of it. So to me, it is not, it doesn't make much sense. I would rather that you engage and you record your disagreements on the Hansard, so that someone reading the Hansard then would know that you had a divergent view, which you put on the table, and you were defeated on the basis of democratic principles. Because three things happen in Parliament. Only quorum can stop Parliament from proceeding with its work. And even then, that is only applied at the point of decision making. For instance, if you are going to vote and someone raises the matter of quorum, if you are short of the numbers required, then you can't proceed. Other than that, debate can ensue with or without quorum, and decisions would be made. There would be legal decisions, and they will be legitimate, and they will be binding. So for me, the idea of a boycott is very cowardly. It is a point of disengagement. It is a point of abdicating your responsibility, because you'd rather lose with dignity than abdicate responsibility.
Now, going to exactly what is happening in Parliament today, where we are seeing members of the opposition, most of those attached to the National Unity Platform, honorable, they have missed over now consecutive third sittings, where they have not been part of. And the Speaker came out and said she may be forced to evoke some of the laws of procedures of Parliament, that where a member of Parliament misses 15 consecutive sittings, the Speaker has the powers to expel this member of Parliament. And we've seen about 2 MPs where this has happened. Now, one, is this possible? Because many have come out and said that we are only not in plenary, but we are in committees. You know, we are still doing parliamentary work still.
No, that is.
If I come and log in, but I don't go to the sitting, then many say this is a unique incident. It's not like where Mike Sebaru may, but the speaker knows we boycotted. We are out. She knows the reason.
You know, I think that is a very big contradiction in my view, to say that you are not attending plenary, but you're attending committee work.
In committees, you're within parliament.
And actually, if you are not attending parliament and you're attending committee, then you are really doing the real work, because the work that is debated in the plenary is generated by the committee system. And real parliamentary work is at the committee level. That's when you look at the policy statements, engage them deeply, and analyze them deeply, and make what normally goes to the House are recommendations of internal, detailed workings of Parliament within the committees. So if you are serious about boycott, I think the most important thing to boycott would be committees, because if you do that, then you are almost paralyzing the work of Parliament, because then they will not have work generated by the committees, because the agendas are always always generated based on the work generated by committees. If there are laws, if there are statements, they are handled. The kitchen, I mean, if you really want to boycott eating, then you begin by boycotting the kitchen where the food is prepared. But if you boycott the dining table and you are busy in the kitchen during the preparation of the meal, the only difference is that you are eating from the wrong place, but you've eaten. So they are doing parliamentary work, only that they are doing it in the kitchen rather than in the living room. So to me that is a contradiction. It defeats the purpose. But even then, I know that is done to be able to offset certain other contradictions. Because if you are genuine about the boycott, three things must happen in my view. The first thing is to boycott the benefits of such sittings. Like for instance, the month of September, you tell me that I boycotted the month of September. I even didn't take my salary. I didn't even take my allowances, to show the highest level of commitment, which is informed by the highest level of sacrifice. But if you are partaking of all the benefits and you tell me you are boycotting, that is robbery without violence.
Now, okay, robbery without violence, if we can take that word. To what extent can the Speaker's proposal to evoke sections of procedures affect these members of Parliament?
Yeah, the rules of procedure are very clear. If you miss certain number of sittings, the process is clear, and the ramifications are clear. So I think the Speaker, having pronounced herself on that, definitely was informed by the provisions of the rules of procedure and other laws related to that. I believe that the mechanism and the process is available for that to be effected, because I think it was put in place to avoid situations where some people may act in a manner that may jeopardize the work of Parliament, and that could be accepted up to a given point. So once the provisions are there, the processes and procedures of implementations are available, I think it is within the powers of the Speaker to evoke such rules of procedure, have them implemented to save the image of the institution of Parliament.
Now, talking about saving the image of the institution of Parliament, Honorable, we've seen on several occasions members of Parliament, they represent the people. If someone comes out and says, in my constituency, I have 4, I have 3 people allegedly missing that were picked up by security agencies. We demand a report. How best can we move forward? This is not the first time that members of the opposition, more so NUP, have put this on table. And there have always been some kind of explanation. I remember one time the Human Rights Commission came up and said some of these people were not in existence. We try to track them, then these bring families. Now it is the issue at hand that is causing this kind of push and pull situation in Parliament.
Yeah, that situation is there, and my view is that you engage in what I would call constructive engagement. There are relevant institutions of government, there are relevant ministries, departments and agencies that are relevant. Constructively engaging them would be something that I would desire, rather than blackmailing the institution of Parliament.
Now, when you talk about blackmailing the institution of Parliament, according, and I want to be very clear, to Matthias Mpuga, the head of opposition, and a number of opposition members under NUP, the likes of Joe Sanyonyi, they seem to believe that all has been done, and they are left with no alternative except to say we cannot sit in Parliament, pretend like everything is normal, yet under the carpet there is so much blood bleeding, according to them.
Yeah, like I did say, if that is the case, then they wouldn't be sitting in the committees. I'm simply saying that it is a facade, because if you really want to make what I think is the statement they want to make, and then you simply disengage with the Parliament totally, and maybe go to address the people about the same. But if you sit in the committee, in my view, you are participating in parliamentary work. That's where I find it a bit of a contradiction. And I want to believe it is strategically done, not to be challenged. On one hand, not appearing in plenary, and on another hand, partaking of the benefits of serving as a member of Parliament. Otherwise, the real position would be that you don't even appear. If you really want to give that statement, if you want to do it in the right sense of it. But when you sit in committees, and Parliament operates a committee system, which committee system generates business for the plenary, I really think then it is not well conceived in my view.
Well, I have some messages that are coming in, and these go to you, Honorable. Good morning, Uganda. I think that the entire Parliament should work together to solve the matters concerning Ugandans. Then we have one. Why is this difficult for government to respond to the demands made by opposition? Does it mean that government is saying yes on what is being claimed by the opposition as wrong?
No. I think it takes two to tango. In as much as the opposition is behaving the way they are behaving, I think the relevant departments of government, ministries, departments and agencies have a responsibility to give the report as requested by the opposition parties. I think it is within their powers and it is within their responsibility to do so. But what I'm objecting to is the manner in which the request is being handled. They're trying to put Parliament into a situation where it cannot do its work. For if laws are not made, if policies are not made, and maybe budget, if the budget is interrupted, the budget process, at the end of the day, the people you represent are the ones that are going to suffer the consequences. And in that regard, you'll have abdicated your responsibilities. And you are doing so while still growing your benefits. So you are being paid for no work. And that is not good in terms of transparency and accountability, because you need to be accountable to your people. So I think the method used may not be appropriate. They may be taking the wrong side of the right corridor.
Maybe let's also examine, Honorable, the impact of these boycotts. Because you rightly said the law does not provide anywhere in rules of procedures that a boycott can hinder parliamentary work from going on.
Yes.
And we also know that NRM has the majority. And even if it is anything to go by voting, and the entire opposition chose to vote against anything that the NRM has caucused and believed this is their stand, still they wouldn't get breakthrough to it. So, of what relevance then is this boycott to parliamentary business?
It is not actually very relevant. The only aspect that I would look at, the only aspect, but even then that is not within the law. It is the kind of the legitimacy of the laws passed with a given section not being in attendance or participating. That whole notion of inclusivity, diversity, and equity, that may bring something you'd consider for part of a moral question. But in terms of the law, and legally, a boycott has no effect on the work of Parliament as long as Parliament continues to proceed with its work. And even then, it is quorum that can deny Parliament to take decisions, and that is at the point of decision making. Otherwise, during debate and engagement, that may not be an issue. Even at the decision making level, someone has to raise it. If it is not raised, and there is no record to justify that it wasn't, again, the proceedings may continue to their logical conclusion. Yeah.
Well, time seems to be flying so fast, but then I have another question. But why did the same speaker evoke those rules when Seginya, okay, this one's taking us back to the days of Seginya and Sewanyana, where they were in prison for 2 years. I think the speaker is failing to live up to the expectations of democracy and political sanity. This is Mukisa from Tororo.
I don't get the...
I think he's trying to wonder why those same provisions that when a member of parliament misses 15 consecutive sittings without a valid reason, the speaker has the powers to expel this member. So he's wondering that when these two are in prisons, I think in Mukisa's...
No, I think he's not being logical because those two were not in the house, not out of their own making. The situation were that they were confined in gazetted areas. They were in prison, or they were arrested. So their absence from the house was not of their own making. The law provides for one who denies himself or herself an opportunity to serve the nation as a member of parliament by not appearing in parliament. So the situations are different. The others were not out of the house because of their own violation. No, it wasn't the case. So the two are not comparable in my view.
Then one is highly commending you. I didn't know that Mr. Sebalu is such an informed person. I've listened to him on an FM radio, equating him to hardline Buganda legislators. I'm really happy with his intellectual approach to parliamentary issues. I'm Mango Ali Bashir from Buyamba, Rakai. Well, you have someone there who is commending you for the way you view and understand
Thank you
issues.
for your compliments. I'm humbled by that feedback.
We must come to the end of this with senior politician Mike Sebalu. A man I'm having this morning was in the CA. He represented then a constituency. He has been in the Pan-African Parliament, the East African Parliament, And maybe, I don't know if we shall have you in any other parliament to come. Do you have any aspirations or to hit it back politically?
No, I think I served a member of CA. I served in the Parliament of Uganda, in the Pan-African Parliament, in the East African Legislative Assembly, full terms. I served in the Africa Peer Review Mechanism. I think I can serve when called upon, but not necessarily through elective office.
Through elective office. Well, before we get out of here, Honorable Sebalu.
Because one thing that I really want people to appreciate out there, that leadership is not about a position. Leadership is about influence. So you don't have to necessarily be in a given position XY in order to offer leadership, but you can apply your influence to help in affairs of public discourse. I guess that is why you invited me here. You didn't invite me because of any position, but maybe you thought I had an idea or two that I could share on this topical issue.
As you move out, your final remark on the current situation.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is to live up to our call to duty. We offered ourselves voluntarily to serve the nation through the constituencies that we represent. Let's be fair to those that voted us and offer leadership at all time and every time. Leadership is not only required during ordinary ways. Actually, leadership is most required during challenging times. And it is such a time that leadership would demand that you engage in constructive engagement with all the relevant stakeholders regarding the issue at hand, ministries, departments, and agencies of government that are relevant to that subject matter needed to be fully and maximally engaged in a constructive manner so that the outcome of the same is in the best interest of the people that you represent. Otherwise, drawing your salaries and benefits without work being done is indeed not in the best interest of accountability and best practice for leaders.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Honorable Sebalu.
Finally, my Mugongo Obis and Ojis, please be there for the run on the 23rd at the school, and be there on the 25th, Saturday, when we celebrate the 100 years with a big function preceded by a service and other activities that have been programmed. I want to thank the organizing committee for a job well done.
Well, thank you so much. Honorable Ruben, I can see him smartly dressed like one of the coaches of some team I support here, and he's ready to take you on, giving you sports updates. See you in the next hour.
I thank Ruben for the...
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Over 1,000 children with disabilities in Uganda every 5 years have not had access to adequate education. And this has been basically due to lack of assistive devices to enable them get reasonable accommodation in schools. Mokisa Humanity and Inclusion Foundation is leading a campaign to fundraise for assistive devices for 500 children with disabilities to get in school in the year 2024. Join us to fundraise for braille machines, slates and styluses, white cane, braille paper, hearing aids, wheelchairs, audiobooks, book recorders,